Clip of one of the assistant coaches chasing Caitlin Clark down as she's riling up the crowd, and it seems like she's getting scolded, reprimanded.
You can't just grab a player. Like, I'm sorry, you can't just, the player's walking back, you can't just grab a player.
Caitlin Clark's like, what the hell is this? You know, I was just hyping up the crowd. What you coming up on me for? I was just going like this. Why are you pulling up on me? I'm just hyping up the crowd.
In my opinion, it's completely unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. Like, if a coach did this to any other player in the league, they'd be fired.
So what can this possibly be?
Welcome to what might be one of the most unbelievable moments in recent WNBA history. Get ready, because today we're diving straight into a controversy that has left fans completely stunned. Footage has recently surfaced from 2025 showing Indiana Fever head coach Christy Sides grabbing Caitlin Clark during a team celebration. Yes, you heard that correctly. The video clearly shows the coach making physical contact with Clark in a way that many believe crossed the line. What was meant to be a joyful moment quickly turned into a viral debate across social media. Fans aren't just surprised, many of them are absolutely outraged. Some people are comparing this moment to a teacher scolding a student, saying it felt unnecessary and even disrespectful toward one of the league's biggest rising stars. The reaction online has been swift and passionate. Supporters of Caitlin Clark are demanding answers, and many believe this is yet another example of how she's not being treated fairly, even by her own team. With this footage now circulating everywhere, it's clear that this situation isn't going away anytime soon.
I would love to see Caitlin Clark get a technical for hyping up the crowd during a dead ball. Not slapping the stanchion during a dead ball, not talking to referees during a dead ball, not showing up the opposing team during a dead ball, but hyping up the crowd, her home crowd, during a dead ball.
Let's get right into it. It's 2025, and Caitlin Clark's name continues to dominate headlines across the basketball world. Since stepping onto the court as a rookie, she's been a force of nature, electrifying crowds and filling highlight reels every single night. But somehow, that still doesn't seem to be enough for the Indiana Fever's leadership. Behind the scenes, it feels like there's a different agenda at play. Instead of celebrating the star who's helped revive their franchise, they seem more focused on trying to keep her in check. This recent incident, where head coach Christy Sides was caught grabbing Clark during a team celebration, has only poured fuel on the fire. To fans, it feels like the latest in a series of decisions that just don't make sense. And the reaction? Outrage. Fans are voicing their frustration louder than ever, calling this yet another example of mismanagement within the Fever organization. If you're following this story and feel just as frustrated, let us know by hitting the like button and sharing your thoughts down below. This situation is far from over, and it's about to get even more interesting.
Coach grabs CC. Wow, I remember this play but didn't see the grabbing. Was this the Sun game? I think after this game, CC stopped talking to the crowd or showing as much emotion on the floor. That is a very good point. If this was in fact the Sun game, you can draw the straight line from Sun game to how she's been interacting as of lately with the crowd.
Let's paint the picture. It's a warm night in 2025, and the Indiana Fever are dominating the Connecticut Sun. The scoreboard shows a comfortable lead, somewhere around 20 points, and Caitlin Clark is putting on yet another incredible performance. She sinks a stunning step-back three-pointer, the kind of shot that leaves the entire arena in awe. The fans erupt, the energy is electric, and Clark is clearly feeding off the moment. She's engaging with the crowd, soaking it all in and playing with the confidence of a true superstar. But then, something unexpected happens. Out of nowhere, head coach Christy Sides steps in and physically pulls Clark back. This wasn't a casual pat on the back or a congratulatory arm over the shoulder. No, it was a deliberate, firm move to stop her in her tracks, almost like reeling her back in from the moment. For many watching, it felt unnecessary and awkward, especially considering the situation. A star player in full control, celebrating with her team and her fans.
Caitlin Clark then goes and hits a step back three on JC Sheldon. And she goes, the whole crowd's going nuts. And she comes, and she's getting subbed off, by the way, at this stage. She's getting subbed off for the game. She doesn't go back in the game at this stage. So it's not like it's a close game. They're up 20. She does not see the floor again. Caitlin Clark is there hyping up the crowd. She's there trying to hype up the crowd. Exactly what you want. Exactly what you want. You want to see this version of Caitlin. You want to see this player.
You know, the crowd that's been dead because I haven't been on my game, and now I'm back on my game, and I'm hyping them up, and we're getting them into it, and it puts the opposing team on their back heel. You know, you guys aren't used to that. My bad. And what's coach doing? Caitlin, don't do that, Caitlin.
The moment this footage leaked online, it spread like wildfire. It didn't take long before it was everywhere, and for good reason. In the clip, you can literally see Caitlin Clark's expression shift in an instant, from pure excitement to sudden confusion in a matter of seconds. It's the kind of footage that makes people pause, rewind, and watch again just to make sure they saw it correctly. And let's be clear, this wasn't just some harmless misunderstanding. This was a moment where the coach clearly interrupted what should have been Clark's time to celebrate. It wasn't subtle, and fans noticed immediately. Now, let's break this moment down piece by piece because it's far too important to simply overlook.
And by the way, from this moment on, we hardly saw anything. From this moment on, the emotion was gone from Caitlin. Let's be real, that was right before the Valkyries game. The Valkyries game that realistically just kind of broke her.
Hey, Caitlin, we got to control our energy. We got to control our emotions, which, okay, I understand controlling your emotions, but Caitlin Clark is an emotional player. Therefore, she wears her game on her sleeve. When she's hyped, you can tell. When she's not at herself, you can tell. When she's getting fired up, you can tell. She's not like this during the game. That's not Caitlin. That's not who she is. And if you want to turn her into that, that's going to have more negative repercussions than positive outcomes.
With the game all but decided, the Connecticut Sun had clearly accepted defeat. Caitlin Clark's deep three-pointer served as the perfect finishing touch to a dominant performance. As she made her way back down the court, she couldn't help but feed off the energy of the crowd, even adding a bit of swagger to her step. It was one of those moments that truly captures the spirit of sports. But then, something unexpected happened. Indiana Fever head coach Christy Sides reached out and grabbed Clark by the arm, pulling her back mid-celebration. It wasn't a friendly gesture or a moment of encouragement. It looked more like someone trying to stop a child from running too far ahead. And of course, the cameras caught everything. Within moments, social media was flooded with reactions. X, formerly known as Twitter, lit up with posts and memes from fans who couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. One fan joked, "Did the coach just grab Caitlin Clark like she's caught sneaking snacks? I need to speak to management immediately." Another wrote, "Caitlin's out here putting on a show and the coach treats her like she wandered off without permission. Unreal." The memes came fast. One had Clark's face photoshopped onto a superhero being held back by a villain labeled Fever Coach. Another showed the grab with the caption, "When you're having too much fun and your boss reminds you Monday's coming." But beyond the jokes, there's something deeper at play here. This wasn't just an awkward moment caught on camera. To many, it felt symbolic. It sent a message. Yes, Caitlin, we appreciate your greatness, but maybe tone it down a little just so we're more comfortable.
Not a fan of the Indiana Fever backroom staff. I'm not a fan of what they're trying to do to Caitlin Clark, and I fully believe they're trying to dim the flame of Caitlin, and they're trying to make her fit in to what the WNBA used to be rather than fit out and be her.
And this is really where the outrage begins to make sense. Fans aren't just upset about the physical moment itself. They're frustrated because it feels like a clear reflection of how the Indiana Fever have been treating Caitlin Clark from the very start. It's not just about one incident. It's about the bigger picture. To many fans, it seems like the organization wants Clark to fit into some outdated idea of how players should act, to follow the rules quietly rather than embrace the bold, game-changing style that made her a star in the first place. And this footage? For a lot of people, it's the confirmation they've been waiting for. Whether the coach intended to send that message or not, the reaction speaks for itself. What might have seemed like a small incident has now sparked an even bigger conversation about how Clark is being handled behind the scenes. Post-game interviews didn't help ease the situation either. Coach Christy Sides gave a vague comment about team discipline, the kind of answer that feels more like a generic excuse than a meaningful explanation. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark kept her cool in front of the cameras, simply saying, "I just want to keep the energy high for the fans. That's when I'm at my best."
You don't have to like Caitlin Clark. You don't even have to like Caitlin Clark did this. But this is Caitlin Clark. This is Caitlin at her best when she is relentless. When she is relentless, when she's getting the crowd involved. And it's literally like Caitlin. She said it against the Liberty. She said after the game, she's like, "Oh, I want to get the crowd involved. I want to do this, want to do that." That's kind of what her goal is. She's like, "That's when I'm at my best."
To her credit, Caitlin Clark would never come out and say it directly, but many fans aren't afraid to call it what it looks like, a clear case of a team trying to flex control over a player they simply don't understand. And make no mistake, the fan base isn't staying quiet. People are speaking out louder than ever, and this already dramatic 2025 season just got even more complicated. But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture here, because this isn't about one isolated moment on the court. It's part of a larger pattern that's been unfolding all season long. Rather than embracing the superstar they have, it feels like the Indiana Fever have spent the year treating Caitlin Clark like some sort of challenge to fix rather than celebrating the once-in-a-generation talent she clearly is. And despite all of this, Clark's performance speaks for itself. She's averaging jaw-dropping numbers, around 25 points per game, 8 assists, and highlight-worthy plays almost every night. She's the reason the Fever are even being talked about again. She's made them relevant. But instead of leaning into her success and allowing her to thrive, it's almost as if the organization keeps trying to reshape her, to make her fit a mold that doesn't suit her game or her personality. For many fans watching, it's frustrating, like watching someone try to force a square peg into a round hole, refusing to see the value in what they already have. From day one, it's felt like the Fever's leadership has been more focused on making Clark fit in than allowing her to stand out.
She's essentially said her coach doesn't want her to play her game. And it's very clear that the Indiana Fever don't want Caitlin to be Caitlin. They want to see the perfect. And by the way, I don't know if this is just from the coaching staff. I think this might be from the front office. Maybe they want to keep this squeaky clean image of Caitlin Clark, not realizing that Caitlin Clark didn't have this squeaky clean image.
It feels like the Indiana Fever are stuck holding on to an outdated vision of the WNBA, almost as if it's still 1997, when simple plays were enough to turn heads. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is playing in 2025, bringing a whole new energy to the court. But instead of embracing the evolution she represents, the organization seems to treat her like a disruption to the way things have always been done. That grabbing incident, it's only a small piece of a much bigger problem. Little by little, it seems like the Fever have been working to dull her competitive fire. And now it's starting to show. Look at the game against the Las Vegas Aces. Just a few weeks after the Connecticut blowout, Clark didn't look like her usual self. She still put up 20 points, because she's Caitlin Clark after all. But something was missing. The energy wasn't there. No fired-up celebrations, no playful trash talk. None of that spark fans have come to love. And why? Reports suggest that after the grabbing incident, the coaching staff sat her down and told her to tone it down. Tone it down? This is professional basketball. Passion, energy, and personality are part of what makes the game so exciting. But it feels like the Fever are pushing her to fit into a more controlled, polished image, one that doesn't allow her to fully express the fire that made her a superstar in the first place. And now, fans are starting to wonder if it's slowly chipping away at her game.
You want her to be feisty. You want her to have Kobe in her. You want her to have Jordan in her. And they're trying to take that away from her. They're trying to take away the greatest show in sports. And it's very clear. It is very clear that it is from the top down.
The front office hasn't exactly escaped criticism either. According to reports circulating on social media, the Indiana Fever's management seems to have a very narrow view of who Caitlin Clark should be as a player. They appear to want her to stick to shooting long-range threes, smile for the cameras, and avoid anything that might seem too flashy or outside the norm. One insider report even suggested that the Fever's leadership believes Clark's value is limited to her shooting ability, completely ignoring the fact that she brings far more to the game than just points from beyond the arc. This is a player with court vision, creativity, and leadership skills that can't be taught, yet they seem determined to minimize those strengths. Sources claim Clark has been asked to cut back on the highlight reel passes, limit her interactions with fans, and play with a more reserved, controlled demeanor, almost like she's auditioning for a corporate handbook instead of leading a professional basketball team. After a win against the New York Liberty, Clark gave a post-game interview saying, "I love getting the fans involved. Yeah, that's when I play my best." But in the very next game, she was benched for a large stretch of the fourth quarter. The reason? The coaching staff claimed the team needed to stay focused, despite holding a comfortable lead. Fans aren't buying it. On social media, reactions poured in. One post read, "Caitlin Clark plays with the intensity of a Kobe Bryant, and the Fever are treating her like she's just another player on the bench. Let her play her game." Another fan added, "They want her to smile but take away her spirit. This isn't how you handle a star." The hashtag #LetClarkBeClark started trending as a rallying cry among fans, frustrated by what they see as efforts to suppress her personality and passion for the game. As the 2025 season rolled on, those frustrations only grew louder. Clark remained a force on the court, regularly putting up 30-point games against top-tier teams like the Las Vegas Aces and making seasoned veterans look like rookies. But the fire in her game seemed to flicker. After a tough loss to the Los Angeles Sparks, Clark was asked about her performance. Her answer, "I'm just doing what they want." For many fans, that was the most heartbreaking moment of all. This is a player who thrives on emotion, on competition, on intensity, the same qualities that defined legends like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And yet, the Fever seemed determined to mold her into something far more reserved. The coaching staff continues to push a team-first narrative, but fans see through it. It doesn't seem like they're building a system around Clark's strengths. Instead, they're forcing her into a role that doesn't fit. Take the game against the Washington Mystics as an example. Clark showed her usual competitive fire after arguing a call, something fans have always loved about her. But instead of letting her fuel the energy of the game, the coaching staff benched her the next quarter. Their reasoning? We don't need that. Yet the crowd was loving it, and the team won by double digits. Clearly that spark had its value. Social media exploded with theories. One post read, "The Fever aren't afraid of Caitlin Clark's talent. They're afraid of her influence." Another fan commented, "She's carrying this franchise and they're punishing her for it." And it's not just talk. The numbers back it up. According to a 2025 ESPN report, attendance is up 40% from the previous year, almost entirely because of Clark's star power. And yet, the organization treats her like a problem to manage, not a leader to build around. If you look at specific moments throughout this season, the pattern becomes clear. Early in the year, Clark had a dominant game against the Chicago Sky. 28 points, 10 assists, pure excellence. She was engaged with the crowd, fired up and clearly in her element. Yet the very next practice, she was reportedly told to talk less, play more. The result? Her energy dropped. Sure, they won the next game, but something felt different. Then came the matchup against the Dallas Wings. Clark was on fire, draining deep threes, making no-look passes and feeding off the crowd's energy. But in the third quarter, she was pulled from the game without explanation. The official reason? Rest. At 24 years old in peak condition, rest didn't seem necessary. Fans booed. Rightfully so. One post summed it up. Benching Caitlin Clark at her best is peak nonsense. Let her lead. By the later part of 2025, the trend was undeniable. Every time Clark's game started to reach its full potential, the Fever seemed to step in and pull her back. Imagine this. Caitlin Clark drops 15 points in just the first quarter, and suddenly she's pulled from the game. The official reason? Pacing. But fans aren't buying it. The game wasn't even close. In response, fans launched a petition titled "Free Caitlin Clark," and within a week it had gathered over 50,000 signatures. The comments were passionate and clear. People are tired of seeing a superstar's potential held back. Some believe the Fever are simply jealous of Clark's spotlight. Others say this is bigger than just one player. It's a sign of the WNBA's growing pains. The league finally has a megastar in its hands, someone pulling in casual fans and driving up viewership. A 2025 Sports Illustrated article reported a 25% increase in ratings, and much of that can be directly linked to Clark's growing influence. Yet, instead of embracing this momentum, the Indiana Fever seems stuck in outdated thinking, treating her energy and style as a disruption to their traditional approach. Meanwhile, look at the NBA. Stars are encouraged to build brands, express themselves, and bring flair to the game. Players like LeBron James and Stephen Curry thrive in environments where their personalities shine. In contrast, the WNBA still seems to be figuring out how to handle that kind of star power. And Clark, she's caught right in the middle of it. The Fever's front office hasn't helped ease concerns. A leaked memo from August 2025, reported by Insider Hoops, revealed the organization wants Clark to project professionalism. But fans argue, and we do, she's not a corporate executive, she's a basketball player. The backlash was immediate. Social media lit up with posts defending Clark's right to play with passion and personality. One fan wrote, "Caitlin's the future and the Fever are stuck in 1999. Another pointed out how out of touch the franchise seems with its own audience. By October 2025, the movement had grown. Billboards popped up around Indianapolis reading, "Free Caitlin from the Fever." At games, chants of "Let Clark be Clark" echoed through the arenas. A viral video showed a young fan holding a sign that read, "Stop grabbing Caitlin," both lighthearted and a little heartbreaking. Social media became a battleground. Posts labeled "Fever Fail" called out the franchise's decisions. One user wrote, "Caitlin Clark is a generational talent, and the Fever are wasting it." Another simply said, "She's the only reason I'm watching, and they're ruining it." The frustration has been building all season. During a November 2025 game against the Phoenix Mercury, fans even booed the coach every time she called a timeout. The message from the crowd was clear. They're tired of seeing Clark's fire suppressed. Yet, despite the circumstances, Clark continues to shine. She dropped 35 points that night, proving once again that her talent can't be contained. Still, in the post-game interview, her tone said it all. "I'm just trying to play their way." Their way? It feels like asking Picasso to paint by numbers. Fans recognize this, and they're not staying silent. As 2025 winds down, a big question hangs over this franchise. What's next for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever? Will the organization finally recognize the talent they have and let her play freely? Or will they continue trying to force her into a mold she was never meant to fit? Fans are paying attention. They're frustrated. They're not going to let this issue fade quietly. What started with one incident has grown into a much larger debate about the future of not just Clark, but the WNBA itself. There's still hope. The Fever could choose to embrace Clark's strengths, let her lead, and allow her to shape this team's future. She has the talent, the work ethic, and the heart to bring this franchise to new heights. A December 2025 report from The Athletic even projects her to break records next season, if the Fever simply allow her to play her game. But the question remains, will they? Or will they continue treating her like a player they need to control, rather than the generational star she's already proven to be? The fans are making their voices heard. Social media continues to buzz with support for Clark. One post reads, "Caitlin deserves better than this circus. Fever, do better." Another adds, "She's the best thing to happen to the WNBA and they're fumbling it." Even the memes reflect the sentiment. One shows Clark breaking free from chains labeled "Fever Rules," with a hopeful caption, "2026 better be her year." But this conversation isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's about the future of the WNBA. The league stands at a crossroads. With players like Clark leading the way, there's a real opportunity for growth, excitement, and innovation. But if franchises like the Fever continue to stifle their stars, progress will stall. Fans want passion, personality, and greatness. Everything Clark brings in abundance. A 2025 Nielsen report confirms what fans have been saying all along. Wherever Caitlin Clark plays, ticket sales are on the rise. Even on the road, she's drawing in crowds. She's not just a player, she's a star attraction. This is an opportunity the Indiana Fever should be embracing, not resisting. Instead of holding her back, it's time for management to step aside and let Clark thrive. Stop trying to change who she is. Stop pulling her from games without reason. Stop silencing the energy and passion that make her special. Let Caitlin Clark be the fiery, competitive force she's always been. Let her engage with the crowd, energize the arena, and lead this team with confidence. If they do, the fans will respond, the league will benefit, and maybe, just maybe, the Fever can change the narrative surrounding their organization. Because right now, fans see them as the problem, and that's a reputation no team wants to carry. As for Clark, she continues to push forward, refusing to let frustration define her. Her talent is too great to be contained forever. Whether her future remains with the Fever or takes her elsewhere, it's only a matter of time before she fully breaks free. And when that moment comes, it's going to be something truly special. So stay tuned. This story is far from over. 2026 could very well be the year Caitlin Clark takes the basketball world by storm. The fans are ready, and this time, they're not backing down.